2 years after the Battle of New Sol, the galaxy was a very different place. The Vorthak Empire, which had ruled over 300 star systems for centuries, no longer existed. In its place was something unprecedented: the Galactic Liberation Council. Captain Lee Dong-wook, now promoted to admiral, stood in the council chambers on what had once been the Vorthak capital world. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Hall, all of them free for the first time in generations. The former throne room of the Vorthak Emperor had been converted into a democratic assembly. The irony was not lost on anyone present. Council recognizes Ambassador Chen from the Kalari Federation, Lee announced from the speaker's podium. A tall, thin alien with silver skin and large golden eyes stood to address the assembly. Honorable representatives, our people have lived in slavery for 300 years. We had forgotten what freedom meant. The humans reminded us. We propose that New Sol be designated as the permanent seat of the Galactic Liberation Council. Applause filled the chamber. Lee smiled as he remembered his small mining colony that had become the symbol of resistance across the galaxy. Dr. Park So-min, now the Council's chief science advisor, was working with representatives from 17 different species to share technology and knowledge. The humans had learned as much as they had taught. Alien medical techniques had eliminated diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Human engineering methods had revolutionized manufacturing across dozens of worlds. But the most important exchange was philosophical. The humans taught us something we had never considered, explained Representative Vask of the liberated hegemony worlds. They showed us that cooperation is stronger than domination, that voluntary alliance is more powerful than forced submission. Not everyone had accepted the new order peacefully. Remnants of the Vorthak military had retreated to the Outer Rim, territories where they continued to raid and pillage smaller colonies. But they found themselves facing something they had never encountered before: a unified response. General Quan Hyun-woo led the Liberation Fleet, a combined force of human ships and vessels from every free world in the galaxy. When Vorthak raiders attacked a defenseless colony, they found themselves facing not just the local defense forces, but ships from across the galaxy rushing to help. The raiders learned quickly that the age of easy conquest was over. Commander Kim Tai-ho had established the Liberation Defense Academy on New Sol, where officers from every species trained together. The academy's motto, suggested by Engineer Choi, was simple: never again. Students learned not just military tactics, but the principles that made humanity so effective in combat: adaptability, cooperation, and the willingness to fight for others, rather than just themselves. Lieutenant Colonel Bae Sung-min ran the Academy's Special Operations Program. His students came from worlds that had never known warfare, species that had been peaceful before the Vorthak conquest. He taught them that sometimes violence was necessary to preserve peace. The strong must protect the weak, he told his classes. Not because they have to, but because it's right. Dr. Shin Woo-jin's quantum disruption technology had been shared freely with all council members, but with strict safeguards. The weapons were devastating enough to level entire fleets, but they could only be activated by unanimous vote of the council. No single species would ever again have the power to dominate all others. Pilot Nam Jun-seo commanded the council's rapid response squadrons. His pilots came from dozens of different worlds, flying ships that combined the best technology from every member species. They were the council's promise to every world: if you call for help, we will come. The Vorthak homeworld itself had become a memorial to the victims of the Empire. Former Emperor Vask's palace had been converted into a museum documenting the crimes of the imperial era. Millions of beings visited every year to remember what freedom had cost. But not all of the changes were on alien worlds. Humanity itself had been transformed by their role as liberators. Earth's government had restructured itself to better coordinate with alien allies. The old national boundaries still existed, but humanity now thought of itself as citizens of the galaxy first, citizens of Earth second. Children in human schools learned the languages and customs of a dozen species. Many young humans chose to spend years living on alien worlds, learning from species their grandparents had never known existed. Admiral Yoon Ji-hai had become the first human to hold the position of Supreme Commander of Liberation Forces. She coordinated military efforts across 300 star systems, ensuring that no world ever again faced conquest alone. "We didn't set out to build an empire," she often said in her speeches. "We just wanted to be left alone. But when we saw others suffering under oppression, we couldn't ignore it. That's what makes us human." The anniversary of the Battle of New Seoul had become a galactic holiday. Liberation Day was celebrated on every free world, with ceremonies honoring those who had died fighting for freedom. On New Seoul itself, the celebration was always held at the site where the improvised railgun had fired the first shot of the Liberation War. A monument now stood there, listing the names of every being who had died fighting the Vorthak Empire. At the top of the list were the names of the colonists who had refused to evacuate, who had chosen to fight instead of run. Captain Lee, now in his 70s, still lived in the same small apartment he had occupied as colony administrator. He could have had a mansion on any world he chose, but New Seoul was his home. He was tending his small garden when Dr. Park brought him the latest intelligence reports. A new empire had been discovered in the far spiral arm of the galaxy. The hegemony of Keth controlled over 100 worlds and was expanding rapidly. "They're using the same tactics the Vorthak used," Park explained. "Massive fleets, demands for surrender, orbital bombardment of those who resist." Lee set down his gardening tools and looked up at the stars. "Have they encountered any of our worlds yet?" "No. But long-range scouts suggest they're heading this way. At their current expansion rate, they'll reach Council space within 5 years." "What does the Council recommend?" "Some species want to negotiate. Others suggest we build defensive lines. The Kalari think we should retreat to more defensible positions," Lee smiled. "And what do the humans think we should do?" Park smiled back. "The humans think we should send them a message." "What kind of message?" "The kind that explains why you never cross humans." 3 months later, a Keith Empire fleet arrived at the edge of Council space, expecting to find primitive worlds ripe for conquest. Instead, they found Ambassador Han Ga-eun waiting for them with a diplomatic escort of 12 ships. The Keth Admiral, a massive creature with 6 arms and armored skin, laughed when Han requested a meeting. "Your tiny fleet amuses me, human. Do you think to threaten the Keth Empire?" "Not threaten," Han replied calmly. "Educate." She transmitted a complete record of the Vorthak War, battle footage, casualty reports, and testimonies from liberated worlds. The Kith Admiral watched in growing silence as the most powerful empire in galactic history was dismantled by a species the Keith had never heard of. "This is propaganda," the Admiral finally said, but his voice lacked conviction. "It's history," Han corrected. "And if you continue your expansion into Council space, you'll become part of that history, the part that gets remembered as a cautionary tale." The Keith Admiral studied the tactical displays more carefully. The human diplomatic escort was tiny compared to his fleet, but behind them, scattered across dozens of star systems, were the ships of the Liberation Fleet, hundreds of vessels from dozens of species all united under human leadership, all ready to fight for freedom. "What are you proposing?" he asked. "Peace," Han said simply. "Voluntary association, mutual cooperation. You can join the Council as equals, or you can be remembered as the second empire that learned why you never cross humans." The Keth Admiral made his decision. 6 months later, the Keth delegation took their seats in the Council chambers on New Seoul. Their admiral, now calling himself Representative Keth Prime, had become one of the strongest advocates for peaceful expansion. "The humans taught us something important," he said during his first speech to the assembly. "True strength comes not from the ability to conquer, but from the wisdom to choose not to." Admiral Lee watched from the observer's gallery, still wearing his simple colonial administrator's uniform. Around him sat the children who had been born on New Seoul during the war, now grown up and serving as council representatives themselves. They had grown up in a galaxy where freedom was the default, where cooperation was stronger than conquest, where no one had to face oppression alone. It was a good galaxy, A human galaxy, in the best sense of the word, and it had all started with 50,000 colonists who refused to run away from home. Lee smiled and walked back to his garden. There was always more work to do, and gardens didn't tend themselves. But the galaxy was in good hands now. The children who had learned the lesson of New Soul would make sure that no one ever forgot it. Never again would the strong prey upon the weak without consequence. Never again would tyranny go unopposed, and never again would anyone be foolish enough to cross humans. The lesson had been learned. The galaxy was free, and it would stay that way. Captain Li Wu-jin stood on the bridge of the Soul's Promise and watched the stars. His ship moved through space toward Kepler Station. This was the biggest day in human history. Today, humans would sign their first major trade deal with an alien empire. "Captain, we are getting close to the station," said Commander Kim Tae-ho from his security post. Kim was a big man with careful eyes. He always watched for danger, even during peace talks. Lee nodded and looked at the main screen. Kepler Station was huge. It looked like a giant metal flower floating in space. The station belonged to the Valtharian Empire. The Valtharians were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. They had ruled space for thousands of years. "How many Valtharian ships do you see?" Lee asked. 12 big ones, Captain. All around the station," Kim replied. "They are much bigger than our ships." Dr. Park So-young walked onto the bridge. She was the ship's expert on alien life. Her job was to help humans talk to other races without making mistakes. She carried a data pad with information about Valtharian culture. "Captain, I have been reading about their customs again," Dr. Park said. "The Valtharians care a lot about respect. They bow to show honor. We must be very careful not to upset them." Lee smiled at her. "Do not worry, Doctor. We came here to make peace. We will follow their rules." Engineer Yoon Da-hye spoke from her station. "Captain, something is strange. I am getting weird energy readings from their ships. The power levels are much higher than they should be for a peaceful meeting." "What kind of readings?" Lee asked. "Weapon systems, sir, but not just regular weapons. These are readings I have never seen before," Yoon said. She was young but very smart. She could fix anything and understand any machine. "Maybe they just want to show their strength," Dr. Park suggested. "Many alien races do this to prove they are important." The comm system made a sound. A voice came through the speakers. It was deep and had a strange accent. "Human vessel souls. Promise, this is Valtharian Command. You are cleared to dock at Port 7. Follow the guide lights. Do not change course. Thank you, Valtharian Command." "We are following your guide lights now," Lee replied. As they got closer to the station, the crew could see how big it really was. The Soul's Promise was a good-sized ship, but next to the station, it looked like a small fish next to a whale. "Look at those weapons," Kim said quietly. He pointed at the huge guns on the station's arms. "Those could destroy a whole planet." "They are just for show," Dr. Park said, but she did not sound sure. The ship docked with a soft bump. Through the windows, they could see Valtharian soldiers waiting for them. The soldiers were tall and thin. They wore dark blue uniforms and carried weapons that glowed with purple light. "Remember, everyone," Lee said to his team, "we are here to make friends. Earth is counting on us. This trade deal will help millions of people back home." The airlock opened with a hiss. 3 Valtharians walked into the ship. The one in front was clearly the leader. He had gold marks on his uniform and a crown-like device on his head. His skin was pale blue and his eyes were bright yellow. "I am High Commander Vex Thaler," the alien said. His voice was cold. "You will come with us now for the talks." Lee stepped forward and bowed the way Dr. Park had taught him. "I am Captain Li Wu-jin. We are honored to meet you." The Valtharian did not bow back. He just stared at Lee with those yellow eyes. "Yes, you should be honored. Follow us." "Doctor." Park, Kim, and Yoon joined Lee as they left the ship. The station's hallways were huge and dark. Strange lights moved along the walls like living things. The air smelled like metal and something else that Dr. Park could not identify. They walked for a long time. Valtharian soldiers watched them from every corner. Their weapons were always ready. This did not feel like a friendly welcome. "Captain," Dr. Park whispered, "this is not normal. They should be more welcoming for a trade talk." "I know," Lee whispered back. "Stay alert." Finally, they reached a big room with a long table. More Valtharians sat around the table. They all wore fancy uniforms with gold and silver decorations. At the head of the table sat the most important-looking one. His uniform was pure white, and he had many jewels on his crown. "I am Emperor Keth Valor," the white-uniformed Valtharian said. "I rule this part of space. You humans are new here. You must learn your place." Lee felt something was wrong, but he kept smiling. "We are happy to learn, Emperor. We want to work together." "Good," the Emperor said. "Sit." The humans sat at one end of the table. The Valtharians sat at the other end. The distance between them felt like a huge gap. "Let us begin," the Emperor said. "First, you will give us the location of all your military bases." Lee blinked. "I am sorry, but that information is not part of our trade talks." The Emperor's yellow eyes got brighter. "Everything is part of these talks, human. You will also give us samples of your weapons technology." "Sir, we came here to talk about trade, food, medicine, peaceful technology," Dr. Park said. "You will speak only when spoken to." High Commander Thaler snapped at her. Kim's hand moved toward his weapon, but Lee gave him a small signal to stop. "There seems to be a misunderstanding," Lee said carefully. "We thought we were here to discuss trade, deals that would help both our peoples." The Emperor stood up. He was very tall, almost 8 feet. "You thought wrong, human. You are here to surrender." The room became very quiet. All the Valtharians were staring at the humans with hungry eyes. "Surrender?" Lee asked. "Your race is young and dangerous," the Emperor said. "In just 200 years, you have gone from flying simple planes to building starships. You grow too fast, you change too much. This makes you a threat." "We do not want to be a threat to anyone," Dr. Park said. "What you want does not matter," the Emperor replied. "What matters is what we decide, and we have decided that humans must be controlled." Yoon was quietly checking something on her small device. She looked worried. "Captain," she whispered very quietly, "my readings are getting stronger. There are weapons pointing at our ship right now." Lee felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. "Emperor, we came here in peace. We want to be friends with your empire." "Peace?" The Emperor laughed. It was a cold sound. "There is no peace for races that refuse to bow. You will give us what we want, or you will be destroyed." "And what exactly do you want?" Lee asked. "Everything," the Emperor said with a smile that showed sharp teeth. "Your technology, your weapons, your planets, your people. All of it will belong to the Valtharian Empire." The humans looked at each other. This was not a trade meeting, this was a trap. "I need to contact my ship," Lee said. "No," High Commander Thaler said. "No more contact with your ship. No more contact with Earth. You are our guests now." "Guests or prisoners?" Kim asked. "The same thing," the Emperor said. "Guards, take them to their rooms. Give them time to think about our offer. When they are ready to be smart, we will talk again." Valtharian soldiers surrounded the humans. Their purple weapons hummed with power. As they were led away, Lee caught Dr. Park's eye. She looked scared, but determined. He gave her a small nod. They were not giving up. Not yet. The humans had come to make peace, but it looked like they might have to fight for it instead. The Valtharian guards pushed the humans into a small room with no windows. The door closed with a heavy sound. Lee looked around the room. It had 4 beds, a table, and nothing else. The walls were made of some kind of metal that felt cold to touch. "This is not good," Kim said. He checked the door. It would not open. "We are locked in." Dr. Park sat on one of the beds. She looked very worried. "Captain, I think we made a big mistake coming here." "No," Lee said firmly. "We did the right thing. We tried to make peace. They are the ones who lied to us." Yoon was using her small device to scan the walls. Captain, these walls block all signals. We cannot contact our ship or Earth, but I am getting something else. What is it? Lee asked. There are more ships out there. Many more. I think the Veltharians have been hiding them, Yoon said. Her face was pale. Before Lee could answer, the door opened. High Commander Thalar walked in with 2 guards. Have you thought about the Emperor's offer? Thalar asked. We need to talk to our government on Earth, Lee said. No. You decide now, or we decide for you, Thalar replied. What happens if we say no? Dr. Park asked. Thalar smiled with those sharp teeth. Your ship will be destroyed. Then we will go to Earth and destroy your home planet. Kim stepped forward. You cannot do that. The Galactic Council will stop you. The Galactic Council? Thalar laughed. The Council does what we tell them to. Do. We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. Who will stop us? We will, Lee said quietly. The room became very quiet. Thalar stared at Lee with his yellow eyes. You? 4 humans in a locked room will stop the Veltharian Empire? Thalar asked. If we have to, Lee replied. Thalar's smile got bigger. Brave. Words from a dead human. You have 1 hour to change your mind. After that, we start killing your crew. The guards and Thalar left. The door locked again. Captain, what are we going to do? Dr. Park asked. Lee was thinking hard. Yoon, can you tell me more about those energy readings? Yes, sir. There are at least 50 Veltharian ships around this station. Big ones. And they all have their weapons ready, Yoon said. 50 ships, Kim repeated. We only have 1. But our ship has the best crew in Earth's fleet, Lee said. And I know them. They will not give up without a fight. Dr. Park was looking at her datapad. Captain, I found something strange in the Veltharian files. They have been watching us for a long time. They know everything about our technology, our military, even our culture. How long? Lee asked. At least 10 years. Maybe more. They have been planning this from the beginning, Dr. Park said. Lee felt angry. So all those friendly messages from the Galactic Council, all those invitations to join them, it was all a lie? It looks like it, Dr. Park said sadly. Kim was checking the air vents. Captain, I might have found something. This vent leads to other parts of the station. Can you fit through it? Lee asked. I think so. It will be tight, but I can try, Kim said. Good, see if you can find a way to contact our ship, Lee ordered. Kim started working on the vent cover. It took him several minutes, but finally it came loose. He climbed up into the dark space above. While Kim was gone, Lee, Dr. Park, and Yoon tried to plan. They did not have weapons. They did not know the station. They were trapped in enemy territory. Doctor, what did you learn about Veltharian culture? Lee asked. They believe in strength above everything else. They think weak races should serve strong races. They do not understand ideas like equality or freedom, Dr. Park explained. So they really cannot understand why we would refuse their offer, Lee said. No. To them, we should be happy to serve them, Dr. Park replied. After 30 minutes, Kim came back through the vent. He looked excited. Captain, I found something very important, Kim said. I got to a computer room. I could not access their systems, but I heard the guards talking. What did they say? Lee asked. This is not just about Earth. They are planning to attack many worlds, the Torvani bird people, the Nethros water people, and at least 6 other races. They want to control the whole galaxy, Kim explained. All at once? Dr. Park asked. Yes. They think if they hit everyone at the same time, no one can help each other, Kim said. Lee felt cold inside. When does this attack start? Tomorrow. Right after they finish with us, Kim replied. The door opened. Again. This time Emperor Valor came in with many guards. He looked angry. Your time is up, humans, the Emperor said. What is your answer? Lee stood up straight. He looked the Emperor in the eyes. Our answer is no. No? The Emperor asked. He seemed surprised. We will not give you our technology. We will not tell you where our bases are. We will not help you attack innocent people, Li said clearly. The Emperor's face got red. Then you will die. All of you. Maybe, Li said. But we will die as free humans, not as slaves. Dr. Park stood up next to Li. We came here believing in peace. You showed us war, but that does not make us weak. Yoon and Kim stood up too. They all faced the Emperor together. Foolish, the Emperor said. Guards, take them to the execution chamber. As the guards moved forward, alarms started ringing all over the station. Red lights flashed. A voice spoke over the station's communication system. Alert! Alert! Human ship Soul's Promise is not responding to commands. The ship is powering weapons. The Emperor looked shocked. What? How is this possible? More alarms started ringing. Another voice came over the system. Alert! More human ships detected approaching the station. Multiple contacts. Li smiled. You made one mistake, Emperor. What mistake? The Emperor demanded. You thought we came here alone, Li said. Through the walls they could hear the sound of explosions. The station shook. Impossible, the Emperor shouted. We detected only one human ship. Admiral Choi Min-ho is very good at hiding ships, Li said. And he does not like it when people threaten his captains. The Emperor grabbed a communication device. All ships, attack the humans, destroy them all. But Li was still smiling. You want to know another mistake you made? What? The Emperor asked angrily. You told us your plans, about attacking all those other races, Li said. My engineer sent that information to our ships before your jamming started. Yoon held up her small device. Long-range burst transmission. I sent everything we learned to Admiral Choi, including the locations of all your hidden ships. The Emperor's yellow eyes got very wide. No! The station shook again, harder this time. More alarms rang out. Alert! Torvani ships detected. Nethros ships detected. Unknown vessels approaching from multiple vectors. Dr. Park stepped forward. Emperor, you wanted to attack everyone at once. But now everyone knows your plan, and they are all coming here. The Emperor looked around the room like a trapped animal. This is impossible. We had the perfect plan. You had a plan, Li said. But you made it based on a lie. What lie? The Emperor demanded. Li looked the Emperor straight in the eyes. You thought humans would be easy to defeat. You thought we would give up when faced with a stronger enemy. You do not understand us at all. The station shook so hard that everyone had to hold on to something to stay standing. We humans have a saying, Li continued. When someone comes, in peace welcome them. But when someone comes for war, give them more war than they can handle. Another explosion rocked the station. This one was very close. Alert! Hull breach on level 7. Emergency teams to level 7. The Emperor was breathing hard. Even if you escape, even if you win here, the Empire has thousands of ships. We will hunt you down. Maybe, Li said. But today you learned something important about humans. What? The Emperor asked. Li smiled. We came here for peace. You chose war instead. Now you get to see what happens when you make that choice, with the wrong species. The lights went out. Emergency lighting came on, casting everything in red. More explosions echoed through the station. In the red light, Li could see the Emperor's face. For the first time, the mighty Valtharian ruler looked afraid. We came in peace, Li said quietly, but we will leave standing. The station shook again as another explosion hit somewhere close. In the red emergency light, Li could see the Valtharian guards looking nervous. Their Emperor was trying to contact his fleet, but the communication system kept making error sounds. Why are the communications not working? The Emperor shouted at his guards. One of the guards checked a device. Sir, the humans are jamming our signals somehow. Li smiled. Tech specialist Lim Dong-wook is very good with computers. He probably hacked your system while you were busy making speeches. The Emperor turned to face Lee. His yellow eyes were full of anger. You think you are clever, human, but you are trapped on this station with us. When my ships destroy yours, you will die too. Maybe, Lee said, but right now your ships are not winning. As if to prove his point, another huge explosion shook the station. This time, the lights flickered and came back on. Alert. Engineering. Deck compromised, power dropping to 60%, the station's voice announced. Kim looked at the ceiling. Captain, that sounded like it came from below us. Our people are boarding the station, Lee realized. Dr. Park was watching the Valtharian guards. Captain, look at their faces, they are scared. She was right. The guards who had seemed so confident before were now looking around nervously. They had never faced an enemy that fought back so hard. This is impossible, the Emperor said. We are the Valtharian Empire. We have conquered 100 worlds. How many of those worlds fought back? Lee asked. The Emperor did not answer. I thought so, Lee said. You are used to fighting people who give up easily. But humans do not give up. Suddenly the door to their prison room exploded inward. Smoke filled the air. Through the smoke they could see figures in spacesuits carrying weapons. This is Lieutenant Colonel An Ji-woo, Earth Marines, a voice called out. Captain Lee, are you in there? We are here, Lee shouted back. The smoke cleared. 3 human soldiers in combat armor stood in the doorway. Behind them, Lee could see more soldiers fighting Valtharian guards in the hallway. Captain, we need to get you out of here, Colonel An said. The station is about to become a battlefield. What is the situation? Lee asked as his team grabbed their equipment. Admiral Choi brought 12 ships. When we got your message about the Valtharian plan, we contacted the other races. They sent ships too. Right now we have over 30 ships fighting 50 Valtharian vessels, Colonel An explained while leading them through the damaged hallway. They had to step over fallen debris and avoid sparking wires. The station was falling apart around them. Are we winning? Dr. Park asked. Hard to say. Their ships are bigger and stronger, but we are faster and smarter, Colonel An replied. They reached a junction where several hallways met. Colonel An stopped and checked her scanner. Captain, we have a problem. There are 50 Valtharian soldiers between us and the docking bay where your ship is waiting, she said. Can we go around them? Kim asked. Not without going through areas that are already damaged. Too dangerous, Colonel An said. Lee thought for a moment. What about the engineering section? Yoon, you said you got strange readings from their power. Systems. Can we do anything with that? Yoon checked her device. Maybe, Captain, if I can get to their main power control, I might be able to cause some problems for them. What kind of problems? Colonel An asked. Well, I could shut down their weapons or their artificial gravity or maybe overload their shield generators, Yoon said. All good ideas, Lee said. Colonel, can you get us to engineering? It will be dangerous. We will have to fight our way through, Colonel An warned. We are already in danger, Dr. Park pointed out. At least this way we can help our people. They started moving toward the engineering section. The hallways were full of smoke and damaged equipment. They could hear fighting all around them. Sometimes Valtharian soldiers would appear, and the Marines would fight them off. As they moved deeper into the station, Yoon kept checking her readings. Captain, this is very strange. Their power system is much more advanced than anything I have seen before. Can you still work with it? Lee asked. I think so. It is just very different, Yoon replied. They reached the engineering section. The door was locked, but Colonel An's soldiers had explosives. They blew the door open and rushed inside. The engineering room was huge. It was full of machines that hummed with power. Strange lights moved through tubes that ran along the walls. In the center of the room was a large control panel with dozens of screens and switches. Wow, Yoon said. This is amazing technology. Can you use it? Lee asked. Give me a few minutes, Yoon said. She started working at the control panel. While Yoon worked, the Marines set up a defensive position at the door. They knew Valtharian. Soldiers would come looking for them soon. Captain, Dr. Park said, I am reading the data files here. The Valtharians have been planning this attack for 20 years. 20 years, Lee asked. Yes. They have detailed information about every race they plan to conquer. They know our weaknesses, our military strength, everything, Dr. Park said. But they did not know our real strength, Kim said. What do you mean? Dr. Park asked. They thought our strength was in our weapons and ships. But our real strength is that we do not give up, Kim explained. Colonel An spoke from the doorway. Captain, we have company. Valtharian soldiers are coming this way. They could hear the sound of running feet and shouting voices getting closer. Yoon, how much more time do you need? Lee asked. Just a little more, Captain. I think I understand their system now, Yoon said. Her fingers were flying over the controls. Contact, Colonel An shouted. They are here. The sound of gunfire filled the air. The Marines were shooting at Valtharian soldiers in the hallway. Purple energy blasts came back at them. Captain, I have good news and bad news, Yoon called out over the noise of the fighting. Tell me, Lee said. The good news is, I can control their whole station from here. Weapons, shields, gravity, everything, Yoon said. And the bad news? The bad news is that if I do it wrong, the station might explode, Yoon replied. How big of an explosion? Dr. Park asked. Big enough to destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers, Yoon said. Lee thought quickly. That would include our ships too. Yes, Captain. Colonel, can we hold this position? Lee called out. Not for long, Captain. They are bringing heavy weapons, Colonel An replied. Lee made his decision. Yoon, do it, but do it carefully. Yes, sir, Yoon said. She started pressing buttons and moving switches. Suddenly, all the lights in the station went out. Everything became completely dark and quiet. Did it work? Kim asked. The lights came back on. But now they were different colors. Instead of the cold blue light, the station was lit with warm white light. Yoon? Lee asked. I have control, Captain, Yoon said with a big smile. Their weapons are offline, their shields are down, and I just sent a message to all our ships telling them exactly where to shoot. The fighting in the hallway stopped. They could hear confused Valtharian voices. Their weapons stopped working, Colonel An reported. Our weapons still work fine. How did you do that? Dr. Park asked Yoon. Simple. I changed the power frequency. Their weapons need a specific energy type to work. Our weapons use a different type, Yoon explained. What about their ships? Lee asked. Yoon checked her screens. Their ship weapons are not working either, but they can still move around. Through the station, they could hear Admiral Choi's voice. On the communication system. This is Admiral Choi to all Valtharian vessels. Your weapons are disabled. Surrender now or we will destroy you. Will they surrender? Dr. Park asked. Lee thought about Emperor Valor. I do not think so. They are too proud. He was right. Emperor Valor's voice came over the system next. This is Emperor Valor. Valtharian. Empire does not surrender. We will ram your ships. We will fight with our bare hands if we have to. Admiral? Lee said into the communication system. This is Captain Lee. The Emperor will not give up, but I have an idea. What is it, Captain? Admiral Choi replied. Yoon, can you broadcast a message to all the ships in the area? Not just ours, but the Torvani and Nethros ships too? Lee asked. Yes, Captain. What message? Yoon asked. Lee thought for a moment. Then he smiled. Tell them that the Valtharian Empire has been planning to attack and enslave every free race in the galaxy. Tell them that today we stop them once and for all. Yoon sent the message. Within minutes, they could see on the screens that more and more ships were arriving. Not just human ships, but alien ships from many different races. All of them were angry about the Valtharian plan. Captain, Colonel An said, the Valtharian soldiers have stopped fighting. They are just standing in the hallway looking confused. Their emperor told them they were the strongest race in the galaxy, Lee said. Now they are learning that they were wrong. What happens now? Dr. Park asked. Lee looked at the screens showing all the ships outside. Humans, Torvani, Nethros, and others, all working together. Now we show the galaxy that no empire, no matter how old or powerful, can stand against people who refuse to be slaves, Lee said. The station shook one more time, but this time it was not from weapons. It was from the landing of many, many ships, bringing soldiers from a dozen different races. The Valtharian Empire's perfect plan had become their worst nightmare, and it was just the beginning. Song Yura sat in the pilot's chair of the Soul's Promise and watched the Emperor's flagship through the main screen. The Valtharian ship was massive, with thick armor and huge weapons. It looked like a floating fortress. "Sergeant Bay, you ready back there?" Song asked. "Ready, Pilot Song," Bay replied from the engineering station. "All systems are working perfectly. Yoon did amazing work with these shields." "Good," Song said, "because we are going to need everything working perfectly for this." The communication system crackled. Emperor Valor's voice came through. "Human pilot, this is your last chance to surrender. My ship has enough firepower to destroy a moon. Your little ship is nothing to me." "We will see about that, Emperor." Song replied calmly. On Kepler Station, Captain Lee and the others watched through the screens. Ships from dozens of races had formed a circle around the battle area. Everyone was watching. "Captain," Dr. Park said nervously, "the Emperor's ship has 47 main cannons. The Soul's Promise has only 6. Song does not need 47 cannons," Lee said. "She just needs to be smarter than the Emperor." Admiral Choi spoke into his communicator. "Song, remember what we learned about Valtharian tactics? They always attack straight forward. Use that against them." "Understood, Admiral," Song replied. The two ships moved apart until they were several kilometers from each other. The space between them was empty except for stars. "Begin," Emperor Valor shouted. The Valtharian flagship immediately fired all its forward weapons. Huge beams of purple energy shot toward the Soul's Promise. But Song was ready. She spun the ship sideways and accelerated hard. The energy beams missed, by hundreds of meters. "Too slow, Emperor," Song said. The Soul's Promise was much smaller than the flagship, but it was also much faster. Song flew it like a fighter plane, instead of a big ship. She dove under the flagship and fired her weapons at its engines. The shots hit, but the flagship's shields absorbed most of the damage. "You think that hurt me?" The Emperor laughed. "I barely felt it." "I was not trying to hurt you yet," Song replied. "I was just testing your shields." The flagship turned to follow the Soul's Promise, but it turned very slowly. Song was already behind it again, firing at different parts of the ship. "Hold still so I can kill you," the Emperor shouted angrily. "Why would I do that?" Song asked. She sounded almost cheerful. On the station, Major O was watching the tactical display. "Captain Lee, Song is doing something interesting. She is not trying to destroy the flagship. She is studying it." "What do you mean?" Lee asked. "Watch where she shoots," Major O said. "She hits a spot, then moves to another spot. She is learning how strong the shields are in different places." Dr. Shin nodded. "Smart. She is looking for weak points." The battle continued for 20 minutes. Song kept moving around the flagship, hitting it from different angles. The Emperor kept trying to hit her with his big guns, but Song was too fast. "This is embarrassing," the Emperor said. "A human insect is flying around my ship like a pest." "Sergeant Bay," Song said quietly. "Are you getting readings on their shield patterns?" "Yes, Song. I can see weak spots near their engine ports and weapon mounts," Bay replied. "Perfect. Time." "For Phase 2, Song said. Song suddenly changed her tactics. Instead of flying around the flagship, she flew straight at it. The Emperor saw this and smiled. "Finally, the human decides to fight like a warrior," the Emperor said. He fired all his forward weapons at once, but Song did not fly into the weapons. At the last second, she dropped the Soul's Promise down and flew along the bottom of the flagship. Her ship was so close to the enemy that she was almost touching it. "What is she doing?" Dr. Park asked on the station. "Something very dangerous," Admiral Choi replied. Song fired her weapons point blank at the weak spots that Bay had found. Without distance for the shields to absorb the energy, her shots did much more damage. Explosions bloomed along the flagship's hull. Several of its weapons stopped working. "Impossible!" the Emperor screamed. "Sergeant Bay, how are our shields holding up?" Song asked. "Still at full power. Yoon's modifications are working perfectly," Bay replied. Song pulled away from the flagship and took a position in front of it. For the first time, she stopped moving. "Come on, Emperor," Song said. "Show me this great power you keep talking about." The Emperor was furious. "You dare mock me? I will turn you into space dust." The flagship fired everything it had at the Soul's promise. Purple energy beams, missiles, plasma bolts, everything. But Song was ready. She had been studying the flagship's weapons for 30 minutes. She knew exactly when each weapon would fire. The Soul's promise danced between the energy beams like it was flying through rain. "How is she doing that?" Commander Nam asked on the station. "She memorized their firing patterns," Lee said with pride. "Song can predict where every shot will go." The flagship's weapons stopped firing. The Emperor had used up all his energy in that massive attack. "Now," Song said. The Soul's promise shot forward like an arrow. Song aimed for the flagship's main bridge where the Emperor was sitting. "You cannot harm me," the Emperor shouted. "My personal shields are the strongest in the galaxy." "I am not trying to harm you," Song said. "I am trying to teach you something." The Soul's promise hit the flagship's bridge shields at full speed, but instead of crashing, the ship bounced off and spun away. The impact did not damage either ship, but it did something else. It showed everyone watching that the small human ship was strong enough to hit the mighty flagship and survive. "That is impossible," Captain Kess of the Torvani whispered. "No ship should be able to do that." "Human engineering," Admiral Choi said proudly. Song flew back to a safe distance. "Emperor, your ship is damaged. Your weapons are low on power. But I have not tried to kill you. Do you know why?" "Why?" the Emperor asked. He sounded confused. "Because we humans came here for peace, remember? Even now, even after everything you have done, we still prefer peace to war," Song said. "You think you can defeat me with words?" the Emperor asked. "I think I already defeated you with actions," Song replied. "Your ship is broken, mine is not. You cannot hit me, I can hit you anytime I want. The battle is over." "I am the Emperor of the Vialtharian Empire. I do not surrender," Valor screamed. "Then you will die," Song said sadly. "And so will all your people, because I will destroy your ship, and then our fleet will destroy all your other ships." Potter moved the Soul's promise into position for a final attack. She aimed at the flagship's main reactor. "One shot from here will destroy your entire ship," Song said. "Is your pride worth the lives of your crew?" There was a long silence. Finally, the Emperor spoke. "What do you want?" "End your war plans," Song said. "Stop trying to conquer other races, let people be free. And if I do this, then we all go home." "No one else has to die," Song said. Another long silence. "Emperor," came a new voice on the communication channel. "This is High Commander Thalar. Sir, we have been monitoring the battle. The human has shown us mercy when she could have killed us. Perhaps we should listen to her words." "Thalar," the Emperor shouted. "You dare suggest we surrender?" "I suggest we survive, sir," Thalar replied, "and perhaps learn something from these humans." More Valtharian voices joined the conversation. Ship commanders, station officers, even common soldiers. They all said the same thing. The humans had won fairly. The Valtharians should accept defeat with honor. Finally, Emperor Valar spoke again. "Human pilot." "Yes, Emperor. You could have destroyed my ship many times during this battle. Why did you not?" he asked. "Because destroying you would not solve anything," Song said. "There would just be another emperor after you, and the cycle would continue. But showing you that humans can be both strong and merciful, maybe that can change things." I do not understand your people," the Emperor said. "That is okay," Song said gently. "We do not understand yours either, but maybe we can learn about each other without fighting." The Emperor was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, quieter. "I surrender," he said. "The Valtharian Empire surrenders." On Kepler Station, everyone cheered. Humans, Torvani, Nethros, and others all celebrated together. Captain Lee felt tears in his eyes. They did it. Song actually did it. More than that, Admiral Choi said. She did it without killing anyone. She won a war by showing mercy. 1 year later, Captain Lee stood on the bridge of the Soul's Promise again. But now his ship was very different. His crew included humans, Torvani, Nethros, and even some Valtharians. They were flying to a new planet where 12 different races were going to build a city together. Dr. Park was still with him, now working as an ambassador between species. Commander Kim was training mixed species security teams. Engineer Yoon was teaching other races about human technology while learning about theirs. Captain, said his new first officer, a Valtharian named Subcommander Nex Thalar. He was the son of High Commander Thalar. We are approaching the colony site. Thank you, Nex, Lee said. It still felt strange to have a Valtharian on his crew, but Nex had proven himself to be honorable and brave. Captain Lee, Nex said, my father wanted me to ask you something. What is it? He wants to know if you think the galaxy is truly ready for peace, Nex said. Lee looked at his mixed crew working together, humans and Valtharians sharing jokes, Torvani and Nethros solving problems as a team.